Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's live at the waterhole. Fabulous start here at Tenby Elephant Park. This is an interesting angle. I don't remember seeing this camera angle before. Very cool to get a nice high up view of them all. But my name is Kelly. I am going to be with you for the next couple of hours. Apologies for my internet concerns the other day. We think we do have it resolved, so everyone cross fingers, hold thumbs for us. But please do remember we are live and interactive today. We love hearing from everyone that is watching, wherever you may be in the world. Look at these two boys in the middle. These little, there's just mud left at the bottom there. Look at this guy having a good splash with that mud there. Excellent, excellent coverage. So you are all very welcome. If you are regulars, if it's your first time here, you are all extremely welcome. And we will be spending the next couple of hours having a cruise through our cameras, and we look forward to you sending your questions to wildearth.tv/questions, or you can scan the QR code just to the right of the elephant there. Oh, look at this guy coming in. Oh, look, there's a bit of a shove. I love hearing from everyone. Your questions really do get me enthralled and get the old grey matter working, so please do send them through. As I say to all my guests, as you all are today, there is no such thing as a stupid question. If I don't know the answer, I will be completely honest. I do seem to spend quite a lot of time pondering things out loud though. So any answers I do get to, you can join me on the journey to get to any conclusions, but I find increasingly often there's not always solid answers to things in nature. Research is progressing so quickly, but the longer, certainly the longer I am around and in nature, you see things in books and then you see something and you go, I didn't know that happened. That's the first time I've seen that. I actually saw someone the other day asking online. There was a huge elephant kneeling completely down on all four legs, suckling. And they were saying, has anyone else ever seen this? And I've seen an elephant kneeling down with its front legs suckling before, which I was very confused by, because elephants often start weaning around about 2, somewhere around there. This elephant was not 2. And after a bit of reading around it, I discovered that some elephants have been known to suckle till they're 10, which was not in my original guiding textbook. So thank you all so much for being here this afternoon. Fuzzy Dunlop, happy Thirsty Thursday. Thank you very much for joining us, Fuzzy Dunlop. Sally Flair out there in Australia, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for joining us. Old Punkster, hello Kelly from Pennsylvania, USA. Love to hear your voice. Hello everyone. Hello Old Punkster. Ooh, I've got my door open a little bit. The wind's picking up today. Look at this. What is this guy doing? I suppose that's a good way of getting lower to the mud. And why not? It's been super, super windy here where I am the last couple of days. Often this time of year we can get fairly high winds. When it is dry like this, it can be a fire risk. We put very strict fire precautions in place in many, many bush areas. No burns. Highly advise against things like having, bonfires or braais or barbecues. I actually, being the very sensible person that I am, invested in 2 rather large fire extinguishers a couple of weeks ago, because fire is a huge problem, especially this time of year when everywhere is very dry. So wherever you are, if you are listening from a very dry area at the moment, please do be cautious of fire. It can be devastating. Oops. My door just slammed. I'm just gonna close that door briefly. How many elephants have we got here? We've got quite a few. 10, maybe 10 or 11 elephants here. Well, there's far more in the back, all coming to enjoy this, what's left of this pan here. David, you're looking forward to another grand day out at the waterholes. You can see it looks like one of these muddy puddles at the front here. It's quite, looks like the water plants from the pan on the far left there have been transferred into the one closest, into the pan closest to the screen, and they will often get transferred via animal movement. So if an elephant or something walks into the water and flicks a bit of that plant onto its leg or something like that, and then translocates it to another water source, then that plant will grow rigorously. You can see these animals are constantly communicating with their body language. There's two elephants at the back there. They look maybe a little bit younger, and they're still finding their feet, finding their place in the world. Often the big old mature bulls, the only time you will see them really making contact with each other is if it's fairly serious. Everyone knows already that they're the big boy in town. But often you find these younger animals, they're still working things out. They're possibly still even working how to communicate well with each other. Look, there's 3 of them. Is that bigger one now going over to say, "What are you doing over here? Behave yourselves."
South Africa's wild places are closer than you think, because Federal Airlines brings them to you. From the calm of our FedAir lounge to the smooth boarding of our trusted fleet, we take care of the journey so you can enjoy the adventure. Our flights go beyond the ordinary, connecting you to South Africa's most remote and extraordinary locations. Federal Airlines, your gateway to the South African wild.
But there's one camera that's it feels like you're in them, but slightly above, so it's actually a really interesting view you can get of them. So once again, thank you all for joining us. Please do send in your questions. They are fed through to me live, and we will definitely get through as many as we possibly can this afternoon. I'm sure as the seasons change, we'll start seeing lots of interesting activity and interactions going on at these pans, at these waterholes. Ivan in North Carolina. What a brilliant question. Oh, that's an interesting shot we've got going there, everyone. Well, welcome to Live at the Waterhole, where we nothing is edited in any way, shape or form. And Ivan, what a brilliant question. Ivan in North Carolina. What is the number one takeaway that humans should learn from wildlife behaviour? Wow, that's deep, man. My gut reaction, the first thing that came to mind was only take what you need. But that doesn't completely ring true, because elephants do sometimes squash trees they don't eat. And I have known predators to kill and not feed, so that doesn't quite work. And then my next thought was be kind, but that probably doesn't apply either, because nature is absolutely brutal. I'm going to give that some more thought, Ivan, if that's okay. I would love to hear what anyone else thinks though. Anyone else that wants to send us through your thoughts. What is the number one takeaway that humans should learn from wildlife behaviour? I know. Oh, that's a really deep question. You can't even use like anything to do with being selfish, because nature is a pretty clear demonstration of look after number one. Maybe communicate clearly. I think animals communicate quite clearly. If something's going to eat something, they normally know about it. A lion won't sidle over to a kudu and go, oh, hi, how's it going? What you been up to? And then suddenly eat them. It's all very honest communication, so maybe something along those lines. Don't lie. Brilliant question though, Ivan. Thanks so much for sending that through. Ooh. This is the only time you'd want to see an elephant this close walking towards you, I think. David, that's a really good take on it. What you've learnt from wildlife is never take anything for granted, as you don't know what's going to happen in the next 5, 10 or even 15 minutes. That isn't a bad shout, actually. How about don't worry? Maybe I'll go with don't worry, because these elephants, they are going to run out of water and potentially run out of food and stuff in the coming months, and those little ones might get weak and they might not have enough to eat and blah blah blah, but I don't think those elephants are stood there thinking about that now. Live in the moment. There we go. Live in the moment. Imagine not living in the moment if you're an impala and you just spent the whole time wondering whether or not obviously impalas are fairly observant and they go and sleep in open areas, but imagine if they actually really sat on that thought that anything could be sneaking up on them right now at any moment. It's not going to be much of a life, so maybe don't worry. There we go. This is actually quite unusual. We don't often see this. Elephants will normally come to water and have their drink and then carry on. But these guys are just chilling here. Oh, they're still drinking a bit, I suppose. And I'm fairly sure that in there, I don't remember seeing this pan, elephantless or elephant free, devoid of elephants. I'm sure they're drinking from where the water probably comes in there, unless I'm mistaken. Look at that little one sitting down. You often see this in elephants if there is a inlet or a pipe or something that feeds that dam. That's the water they want. And why wouldn't they? Who wouldn't want to drink nice, clean, clear, fresh water as opposed to slightly slimy water that other animals had been drinking from or pooping in? Just gently fanning their ears. It's a myth that elephants flapping their ears is a threat. Elephants will often gently fan their ears to help them to regulate body temperature. They will use it for communication as well. Lots of animals use their ears very clearly for communication. ear position is often used to interpret how an animal's feeling, both by other animals and by humans. Look at that young one at the back there, sat down on his butt on the floor. I can't quite see what he's up to, but it looks like he might be trying to get like lower to the water. Oh, maybe he's just having a sit down. We often see young animals spend a lot more time resting, sleeping. Same as humans. Young things need lots of rest to grow and develop. Spend a lot of time sleeping, resting. You see young groups of elephants, if they're resting, often the younger ones are laying flat down asleep. Not impossible to see adult elephants as well laying down flat on their sides. It's unusual, but I've certainly seen it a few times. But often what I find is if you do come across a group of elephants that are resting, the adults will often almost form a circle around the youngsters, and the younger animals will snooze hard, especially in the summer. When it's very, very hot during the day, they will find a shady spot. Adult elephants will sometimes catch a quick nap against a tree or something. Termite mounds, they'll often rest against termite mounds. That's how strong and solid some termite mounds are. They're strong enough for an elephant to rest on. Because they are so big, it can put quite a lot of pressure on their organs and their lungs and things like that. It's not easy for them to breathe if they lay down flat asleep. Nice to see these elephants are still having a nice chill here, still around the pan. After afternoon drinks, they've gone for afternoon drinks. But let's head over to El Doño. I think it was at El Doño the other day. We had some amazing birding going on. I have my Sub-Saharan African birding book at the ready. Yes, I remember this the other day. There's still lots and lots and lots of butterflies here. I don't know what butterflies these are. I'm bad enough at South African butterflies. I only know a handful. But up here in Kenya, I don't know.
He is such a handsome young male. Look at that pose. Absolutely beautiful.
Every guide in Africa has been on an endless quest for the ultimate bush wear. Until now. Rugged Wear has a huge range of amazing bush gear for every wild situation. In the midday heat, those chilly winter mornings, in the storms of summer. Rugged Wear has the bush kit for every wild occasion. Locally made in South Africa, crafted with precision, stitched with quality. I get to wake up every morning and go out there and look for cats. I get to create my everyday safari for myself. Myself, I grew up in the sort of central eastern suburbs of Johannesburg, fully qualified trails guide and a fully qualified nature conservationist. I love the wild places. I love being in the wilderness. It's probably one of the best jobs I've ever had and probably ever could have.
Out here, every moment counts. As a Wild Earth explorer, you won't miss a thing. Watch the Wild Earth channel ad-free 24/7 and rewind if you want to catch something again. Enjoy behind-the-scenes videos, fireside chats and early access to travel offers. It's the best way to stay connected and be part of the Wild Earth family.
My personal favourite months to be in South Africa is normally August, September, October, or September, October. That's often the end of our dry season. Our rains, it varies, but I must start recording the date of our very first rain. Sometime maybe in October, late October. And when they do come. I think it was quite late last year, if I'm not mistaken. So our seasons are, in my opinion, June, July, August, winter, September, October, November, sort of summer, spring, summer, sort of November, December, January, February, March, April is autumn, in my opinion. But we get our rains, they will start maybe end of October, start of November, somewhere around there. And there's a possibility that we could get rain all the way through to, we had rain, in the last couple of weeks we've had rain, but that's quite late, but that's great. We actually got some good late rain this year, which is great to try and keep the bush a bit greener through the winter. Okay, let's head over to Founders Lodge, see who we've got across at that beautiful camera. I actually really enjoy this camera. The light is normally spectacular on there. Ah, look, I do enjoy this camera. And I have established, we have got 2 cows with calves that we see on this camera. There's one female with a ankle bracelet. Not an ankle bracelet, I'm not actually sure what it is, to be perfectly honest. It's a human added device. It could be a tracking collar or a tracking bracelet. I did work on a project many years ago once where they put bracelets on rhino and implanted a chip in their horns, and if that chip moved more than X amount of distance from the bracelet on their leg, then an alarm would go off. It could be that. I don't honestly know what these bracelets are on these rhinos up here or down here in the Eastern Cape. Ah, look at that little guy. I think this is a perfect angle, this camera. I really enjoy it. Joanna, yes, it is a beautiful light on this camera. I always enjoy this camera. It's been unusual. I mean, there's a little bit of cloud around today, but when the sun is out, don't scratch on your mutt. I'm not sure if it's the camera or the angle of the camera, but everything is often hit with a sort of golden hue, sort of a golden tinge going to carry on their day. I think in the slightly cooler months, animals do come to drink more often. It is cooler. There is less. See, now I wonder what changed then. That maybe the sun just popped out from behind a cloud. Do you see how clearly that light changed? Maybe it is literally just the. Oh, look how still that water is as well. Beautiful reflections. Nice to get a bit of landscape around the pan there at Founders Lodge, bit of perspective. Oh, okay. We're back. See, this looks like a male to me. I'm often hesitant to is he going to hang around or is he going to carry straight on after that female? It wouldn't surprise me at all if he's following that female. Male rhinos will often pick up the scent of a female, sometimes even if they're not in estrus, and they basically just follow them indefinitely until they do get a opportunity to mate, or if that female does come into estrus. He's got a kink in his tail. Look at that kink in his tail. I'm assuming this is a male. Yes, that is male. If I was in any doubt, that is a lovely shot of our nice male rhino scent marking. He didn't actually do it, but rhinos will often scuff after they've scent marked. Lots of animals actually scuff their feet after they've scent marked to ingrain that smell a little bit more into the ground. That digging up of the dirt will create more surface area on the ground for that scent to be captured. And they will often drag their feet. All animals, if they scent mark and then stand in it, that scent mark is also carried on with them as they carry on about their day and around their territory. Gail, how do reserves decide which rhinos will be tagged? That's a really good question, Gail. Let's head across to Tau. I just want to have a look and see who we have across there at the Tau waterhole, and I'll answer your question, Gail. It depends. It can sometimes be often it depends on what the tag is. If it's a motion tag, like we're checking, or whoever it is checking movements, they would often be interested in a territorial male. So he could be tagged because that teaches us things about how big territories are, how often males will cross their territories, and there's lots of papers and books, how big is a rhino's territory. That's where we actually get that information from. Also, if it's a female with a calf, they will want to know how that female is doing. It depends on what the objective of tagging them is, to be perfectly honest, Gail. That is the sensible answer there. If it was a security related thing, then they might choose animals with territories that fell closer to fence lines, because those animals might be at more risk. It will depend on the objective of the tagging operation, Gail. The lovely Tau water. Oh, I haven't actually been to Tau for... When was I last at Tau? About 3 years ago. I haven't been there for about 3 years. I did actually go up there a few years ago too. I hadn't been there for a long time, but a very good friend of mine was visiting, and I actually drove up to Tau and drove her. Oh, look, it's a crocodile! And drove her and her family because it had been so. Like, it was so good to get back in the driving seat up there at Tau. I started there in 2013, I think, and I started my guiding career up there. I think we've been watching this family of Egyptian geese. It looks like, I'm sure this is probably still the group that had chicks from earlier in the year. These chicks have grown, they haven't all left yet. It does look like a couple of those might be slightly smaller geese than the rest of them. I believe that's a common moorhen. Let me check. It can sometimes be. Is that a common moorhen? There was a big hoo-ha a while ago somewhere because let me check. No, that's not. Maybe that was a coot. I couldn't tell what that was from that distance. Possibly a red-knobbed coot. These look like teals, I believe. Having a nice groom there. These waterbirds spend a lot of time taking care of their, I think that is a red-billed teal, I'm just checking my workings. They spend a lot of time taking care of their feathers. It's very important for all birds, especially waterbirds, to take good care of their feathers. They have lots of oils and things that they need to keep in tip-top condition. Feathers, if you've ever seen a feather on the floor, that feather, well, unless a bird has been very unlucky and been eaten, birds will often molt feathers, especially flight feathers, and they will molt them when they're not that great anymore. And if you look at a feather that you find on the floor, it's often split, so it's sort of frayed around the edge. That's no good for flying. They need to be those very flat, solid, no gaps, aerodynamic shape to assist with flight. And this constant grooming, birds will use their preen gland, they will use their beak or their bill to spread this preen oil, like an oil, through their, oh, there's 2 crocodiles there, to spread this oil through their fur. Those crocodiles are very different colours. Look how much lighter one is than the other. I've never noticed that before. Very different coloration. Picasso. Hi Picasso, how are you doing? That's a really interesting thing you've just noticed there. Impalas have their tails stuck firmly as the default. When they're rutting, the male lets his tail loose. The muscles must be confused. What an interesting observation, Picasso. I've seen it, but I've never really thought of it like that. But often many animals will change their tail position, same as ears, same as we were saying earlier, as a form of communication. And that is, its tails can be used as a follow me sign, as a display. But yeah, I've never thought of it like that. You're right, the muscles must be very confused. I mean, they'll always have the capacity to do it, but I think their natural tail carriage is down, so lifting that tail up will exert energy, and that's something that animals don't really normally do unless there's a very good reason for doing it. Dead Davis, yes, absolutely. I would agree with you 100%. You're saying, considering the costs that are involved in tagging an animal, you presume it was precisely determined which specific animal was tracked. Yes, it would be. It definitely would be. Conservationists, with the cost involved, they wouldn't just go, oh look, there's a rhino, let's track that one. A lot of it will be dependent on what the objective is. Sometimes conservation groups will obtain funding for a specific project. So if the funding had been given to find out, I don't know.
This is an unbelievable afternoon.
The Wild Earth Impact Foundation is a non-profit that uses the power of wildlife storytelling as a force for good. We create sustainable development projects that showcase conservation stories, empower people, and inspire environmental action. As a registered South African PBO, you can make a tax-deductible donation to the Wild Earth Impact Foundation. To find out more, visit our website. Step into the heart of Africa from the comfort of your home.
Female leopard tracks over here.
Join our expert guides for a live 3-hour safari where every moment is real, unscripted, and unforgettable. Ask questions,
Animals rely on their senses.
share your thoughts, and be part of the experience as we explore together. Safari Live.
A pearl-spotted owlet again. I often hear this pearl-spotted owlet here at town, which is weird because they're supposed to call it sort of dusk. But I'm sure it has its reasons. Mindy Tillapal, hi, how are you doing? How do crocs avoid getting lockjaw while holding their mouth open? Sort of a sore mouth. Again, another brilliant question. I think lockjaw is more when you can't open your mouth. But I know what you mean. From that, they don't want their mouth to get sore. I'm just thinking back as well. Has anyone else? No, I'm sure I've seen it. That crocodiles don't have much power opening their mouth, or a considerable difference of power. So, like, it's really hard to stop a crocodile closing its mouth, unless it's like physically blocked by a stick or something like that. There's not much that's going to keep a croc's mouth open. But I don't think it takes much pressure. I think they've got quite a different muscle structure between their... What's that in the water? Oh, it's a duck. Between opening mouth muscles and closing mouth muscles, and it's making me wonder what are the implications? Oh, look at that. Is that all the boys together? That wildebeest has had his head in thick mud. Look how covered his horns are in mud. He can hardly see. Minty, I want to go and research crocodile jaw muscles because I think there's something interesting about them, but I can't quite remember what it is. But I do know opening and closing are different. I'm convinced they're different. Because I've got an image somewhere in my head of someone holding a crocodile's mouth shut with one hand, or a skinny elastic band or something. Maybe I was a huge fan of Steve Irwin. Maybe that's back in my memory banks from back when I was watching lots of that. Let me start homework list. Crocodile jaw muscles. I'm going to find out some more and come back to you on that because I want to check my crocodile mouth muscle information before I take that one any further. Lucy Cordy, why are the crocodiles not the same colour? I just thought the same thing. It must just be a genetic difference in coloration. It wouldn't surprise me if crocodiles change colour slightly with age, but I would think it's probably genetic, just a slight genetic difference in coloration. I did read the other day that saltwater crocodiles are darker than Nile crocodiles, which tend to be more green. But they're not, these are not going to be saltwater crocodiles here because we're in Africa, so there will be Nile crocodiles. That was funny though, how wildebeest will often do that, those male wildebeests. Will cover their faces and their horns and stuff with mud. And the main theory behind why they do it is to make themselves and their faces look bigger and stronger. Adds volume to their horns, adds size to their horns, make them more impressive looking. So there's a male impala back there. It could be that we are deep, possibly almost finished the rut now, or deep in the rutting season. I'm hearing lots of roaring still going on. But it could be that this male has spent his time chasing these females around, and then he has separated from any female attention, and he's having a little chill time on his own. They will drop back into bachelor groups to rest and recuperate. I did do some reading around male impala mortality. Thank you for anyone that's just joined us. Around male impala male impala mortality rates during the rut, and one of the figures I saw was male predation rates increased by up to 100%. So if I can't work out percentages now. Basically, more than twice as likely to get eaten if you're a male impala during the rut, because you're not concentrating, you're chasing the females around, you're not feeding properly, you're not drinking enough water. As my mum would say, make sure you drink enough water. Just not taking care of yourself, and as a result, if you're not concentrating, you're more likely to get eaten by something. I do love these scenes here at Tau. It takes me back in the day. Dr. Stripes, yes, that is correct. Crocodile skull, if you see a crocodile skull, it will start at the tip of their nose, and it will be a one, sometimes massive piece. Look, there's a male waterbuck here as well. All the boys are joining up today at the Tau waterhole. It's one solid piece of bone, and it's only that bottom jaw that moves. I want to check muscle structure though. I haven't done reading around crocodile muscle structure in a very long time. I'm going to check right now. I have my reptile book here. I think I might need maybe a little bit more in depth than this. This is more identification. This is a fabulous reptile book though. Guide to the Reptiles of Southern Africa. I think I might need to find something more anatomy based. But maybe not. Let's check. The order Crocodilia consists of 24 living species. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Divided into 3 families. Alligatoridae, alligators. Crocodilidae, that's a funny word, crocodiles. And Gavialidae, which are the garrigles.
I feel it is a rosetted morning for us. So yes, let's see what we can find.
Wild Earth has launched a special fundraising drive for our non-profit, the Wild Earth Impact Foundation. We're raising funds to source, create, and showcase thousands of untold stories. Stories that spark real action in conservation and social impact. Visit our website to donate and explore how you can become a founding donor.
Best sighting I've presented. I found myself with wild dogs. We chased the dogs around, chased them around. They ate an impala. We got the end of that. Then another impala went into Gowrie Dam down the road there, and the wild dogs went around. Eventually the impala came close to the bank, One wild dog went and grabbed it and then just pulled it out and just did what wild dogs do. It was an emotional experience, but it was very, very special. Out here, every wild moment matters, and as a Wild Earth explorer, you won't miss a thing. Watch the Wild Earth channel, ad-free 24/7, where you can even rewind and watch something again. Get access to behind-the-scenes videos, fireside chats, and access to early travel offers. It is the best way to stay connected and be part of the Wild Earth family.
Wow, two brilliant questions have come in. I'm considering both of them. Grant and Catherine, I'm deciding which one of these I want to attempt to answer live, if either. I'm going to start with Catherine. Catherine, you're asking, why are mammals born male and female at similar ratios, even in species where a lot less males are necessary for reproduction? Brilliant, absolutely brilliant question. I don't know. It could be that I'm just rifling through species, like my gut reaction was maybe males are more likely to compete and kill each other for reproductive rights, but then you consider elephants, probably not going to happen. Definitely need fewer male elephants than female elephants. Well, pretty much most species really. I don't know the answer to that, Catherine. I don't know the answer, Catherine. I think that's a brilliant question for geneticists or mammalian reproductivologists or something. I don't know the answer. It's a brilliant question and I don't know the answer, but there must be an answer because nature is incredible and it doesn't normally make huge mistakes. Maybe the male survival rate in some species is less, but I don't know. I'm gonna copy that and put it on my homework list, Catherine. I'm gonna move it straight over there and do some reading later because that was a very, very good question. Grant DMV. Your question is, what is my favourite mating practice to watch in the bush? I'm thinking about, my brain is going to things that do cool displays, which is taking me to birds. I'm thinking. Give me a minute while I think, Grant DMV. I'm actually also going to check coloration of crocodiles. I'm pretty sure it's either age or genetic related. But I've never noticed that clearly because crocodiles don't normally sit that close to each other. So I don't normally pick it up. So croc jaw muscles and colour. And coloration. Let's go back across to Tembi. I'm going to continue trying to answer Grant DMV's question of what is my favourite mating practice to watch in the bush. Some eagles are pretty cool. Which eagle? I think crowned eagles do it. Possibly maybe fish eagles. There's a couple of eagle species that will meet mid-flight and they grab onto each other's talons and they spin and they spiral. And I'm not sure if that's just if it's part of courtship or if they actually meet in the air. If they actually mate in the air. But that's really cool to see if two eagles meet mid-air and then spiral. It's not necessarily mating, but it's a very cool courtship to see. Beautiful big tusks on this boy. Having a good dust bath. This is possibly still this group of boys. Definitely one of these is the bigger of the two here. There'll be no... Ah, look, he's touching his tusk. You see, there's no bullying, there's no dominating. Everyone knows exactly who is the bigger of these two here, and it's all quite peaceful. You watch there's going to be a massive fight now, I've said that. Kathy, are the Tembe elephants tuskers? I believe the definition of a tusker is if they have ivory weighing over 50 kilograms. I believe that is the definition of a tusker. I think it is for the Kruger tuskers anyway. I'm sure that's what it says in the Elephant Museum. I know there are lots of emerging tuskers in the Kruger Park, which means they have really good tusks that are growing, and they are being watched as a result of this. If it is over 50, and I'm going to have to guess at this now because I don't know how much these elephant tusks weigh. Kathy, I'm going to guess that none of these elephants have ivory over 50 kilograms. It's really difficult to tell. I find it really hard to tell even how big the animals are from these camera views. But what I'm comparing it to is what I've seen at the Elephant Museum, which is brilliant, the Letaba Elephant Museum in the Kruger Park. If you haven't been, go. It's amazing. Kathy, if you look up, how do you spell it? Mufufanyan. So let me type it. M-U-F, hold on, let me check. I'll check the spelling. Kathy, if you look up Mufufanyan, so M-A-F for Freddie, U-N-Y-A-N-E, if you look at this elephant, he was a tusker, and I'm sure each of his ivory weighed sort of 70 plus kilograms, if I'm not mistaken. I know his ivory, I've got it in front of me, 55 kilograms each. If you look at the ivory on that elephant and compare it with these elephants in Tembe, my guess would be that their ivory isn't over 55 kilograms. Whether or not that makes them a tusker or not, I'm not sure. That was a really long-winded answer, Kathy, sorry. But have a look at that elephant I just sent you to. There's some tusks. And in this elephant museum, they've got replica tusks of all 7 of those tuskers, those Kruger tuskers. I'm sure there were 7 of them. They've got exact replicas of all of their ivory. It's insane. Mindy Tilipa, yes, I agree. Amazing to think that they're probably having a whole conversation that we know nothing about. We know absolutely nothing about. We know minimal, and even as I like to think I have quite a good understanding of, look at those, they're standing around in a circle. Oh yeah, that's the biggest one. Those 3 looked like they were having a little bit of a standoff, and that big boy's just walked in and gone, "Don't be so ridiculous." I'll show you how this is done. But yeah, we don't know what we don't know really, Mindy. And it fascinates me every day. I think I've got a fairly good idea of animal behaviour, but we don't really know, do we, what is in their heads? See, this is a nice, affable sort of tussle by the looks of it. This is like I would liken this to a 35-year-old man having a wrestle or an arm wrestle with a 14-year-old boy, maybe. Kathy, it's a pleasure. He did live till a ripe old age, but you see those tusks, that they're insane. And that is, when you say tusker to me, that's what I think of. Maybe Tembe has a different definition or a different description, or maybe there isn't a formal definition of what a tusker is. I'm not sure, but when you say tusker to me, I think of Mufufanyan.
Zitatamana wena moya wa mina ukomba wena takuranza loko tshama na wena ayina
It's been a great morning out and about and exploring.
That is amazing. It's very hard to explain what this feels like.
Nzatsemba utatama na mina Nzatsemba utatama na mina Nzatsemba utatama na mina
Safari, wine, and waterfalls. The ultimate African adventure. Sip South Africa's finest wines. Experience a world-class safari among Africa's iconic wildlife. And stand in front of Victoria Falls, one of the natural wonders of the world. All this can be yours with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Oh wow, thank you Lady Macbeth. I have just done that. I was not aware of and there's another huge elephant bull somewhere on one of these cameras that sometimes turns up. This is Xylo or Islo. That to me is a tusker. I don't know how different people define tuskers as different things, but yeah, you're quite right. If you anyone else wants to look up from Tembe, ISILO, they're tusks. But the question are Tembe elephants tuskers? Some of them may well be, yes. Daniel, Sophia, they look like mammoths, just less furry. Wildlife lady, you've been to the museum. Yeah, it's a really cool experience, and it's so difficult on cameras, and even you know, I've had a couple of big bulls relatively close to the vehicle, but even in those vehicles, I mean, I drove past a giraffe yesterday in the car. They're also absolutely massive. It's very difficult, even in game drive vehicles, to you get a false sense of elevation in a game drive vehicle, but to be stood with your feet on the floor next to those recreations of those big tuskers it's absolutely mad. Catherine, you've also been, yeah, it's to stand on the ground next to life-size elephants is amazing. Kay Russ. Hello, Kay Russ. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for joining in. Hi, everyone. You used to see Asilo at Tembe. One time, Makadabona and one other big tusker showed up too. Asilo was definitely the revered one. It was a treat like no other. Yeah, it's amazing. And to me, I mean, this is a really big bull with nice tusks that we're seeing right here now. But if you compare this elephant to exactly as you just say, Asilo, Isilo, it's no comparison. And from what I understand, it's a genetic thing. So you will often get tuskers from different locations. If there's what's he backing down from? That makes me wonder. There must be I would have thought the only thing that looked like he was backing away from something there, which to me would only be a bigger elephant. Ronald, why don't elephants have hair like mammoths? I guess it's because evolution determined they didn't need it anymore, would be my only guess for that. Colin Douglas, there was a tusker known as Njueni that visited Pride's Conservancy when wildlife. Yes, I know him. I know that elephant. I've never met him personally, but I know many, many people that have had experience with Njueni. I know I've got some friends who've had amazing walk-bys from that. Would it have been open? There was a huge bull elephant that sometimes used to pass through Thornybush as well, who I met. I'm not sure if that was the same elephant. But often you will find one of these iconic guys prevalent, and elephants will cross. If you look at the tuskers from the Kruger, they traverse huge distances and they pop. See, is he shouting at something that's behind him? Or is he just getting annoyed with those little ones? I think he's just saying, "Stop disturbing me, kids." Lady Macbeth. Craig is a super tusker in Kenya. I don't know Craig. Oh, Lady Macbeth, you've also told me that mammoths lived on the steppe. I think is the steppe in Russia. So yeah, also it's pretty cold there. Let's have a look at Craig. Brilliant name for an elephant. I wonder who came up with that. Wow. That is and again, Amboseli, there's Etosha, there's some big tuskers in Etosha as well. But that is insane. I'm just having a look at that Craig now. That's mad. Anyone that hasn't had a look at Craig, the super tusker, I strongly suggest you go and have a look. But shame, this boy is going to look inconsequential in comparison. So maybe do it after the show. Let's head across to, I think there was Aldonu. There may be some elephants up there. Let's go and have a look and see if we've got any big tuskers up there. See if anyone is coming.
For years, we've shared virtual wildlife. Now let's experience it for real. I'm Lauren Arthur and I'd love to show you my amazing home here in the Greater Kruger of South Africa. This 5-night journey is an exclusive connection to my piece of untamed Africa. I live here in these gorgeous landscapes surrounded by epic wildlife. The wild is calling, so come and join me.
My full name is Mpho Tikani. I grew up in Soweto. My first animal that I filmed said a dog. Okay, no, wait. My first animal that I filmed, I think it was an impala. Best sighting ever, I would say it was actually this year, 2024. But it was this Cedric when we had Mulwati and TP on a warthog kill. I think we have to cut it.
Welcome to Safari Spotlight. We'll be
And you pretend like you're a salesman, eh?
Got no idea what's going on this reserve.
Expecting the unexpected.
Are we stuck down there?
What am I trying to do?
So we have another giant of Mabula.
That was incredible.
This is unbelievable.
It's going to be a spectacular afternoon.
If you love watching Wild Earth, here's a little tip. Become a member. You can gain access to the channel ad-free, you can rewind and re-watch sightings, and you can join our Tuesday live safaris. There's also behind the scenes videos, fireside chats, and every Safari Live episode, whenever you want it. It's just a better way to stay connected to nature.
Groups of males together, there will often be one big old bull that knows the score. And younger animals, often referred to as askaris. Okay, Russ. Yeah, I've heard of Craig before, but I appreciate Lady Macbeth reminding me that pretty jaw-dropping, hey. But Kay, you're saying, don't worry, Tembi guys, you're still my favourite elephant conventioneers. The guys seem to like meet up in large groups quite often. It's not uncommon. Julie, you're also asking, why don't we really see mixed herds here? I started trying to get actual breakdowns of actual elephant numbers in Tembi, because I was also curious as to why we so frequently saw males there instead of breeding herds, because normally, certainly in my guiding areas around the Greater Kruger, and also in Madikwe, you see occasional big groups of bulls, but I would say for every, or you know what it might be? I think I know what it might be, Julie, is maybe, especially Tembi, there are breeding herds there because I've seen them come to the water. The boys hang out there and the breeding herds don't want to hang out there. They come for a drink and then they move on, because remember, it's not necessarily what's there, it's just what we're seeing, and that camera is by the water, so we only really, I've never been to Tembi Elephant Park. I also only have the experience of what we see. What's that? Is that is there something behind there? Oh, no, we were just looking at the leaves. Okay, I thought that was a crocodile or something then. But maybe that's what it is, Julie. Is it a crocodile? Is there something behind there? Is that they are all there, but the boys hang out at the water and monopolise those little puddles, and as a result, the females don't want the hassle, and they will come and they will drink, and then they will carry on with their youngsters, because males can sometimes make a bit of a nuisance of themselves, especially if there is a female in estrus. There will be lots of pushing and shoving, and it can sometimes impact the young ones. So maybe that's what it is, Julie, thinking about it. Wildlife lady. Lovely Get Muddy party for the elephants. We've had lots of elephants today. Look, all the butterflies are coming back now. Very, very disruptive having all those elephants around that pan that they were so happily obtaining moisture, possibly minerals from. Well, that was lovely seeing a nice close-up of all those elephants having a nice mud bath. But let's head back across to Tembe. Fascinating watching the interactions between those males there. Okay, Russ. Yeah, they are large groups of males here. I've also seen I've noticed this on the camera here at Tembe. It could be. I tried to get actual numbers on how many females, calves and males were in there, and I didn't manage to find any definitive numbers. It could be related to population density. I'm not sure. See, these are all big adults as well. I have seen the occasional tussle here, but as a rule, as we keep saying, it's normally relatively peaceful. Sanjeev Roy, Tembe remains green for most of the year. I'm actually really looking forward to watching the developments of this area as the seasons change. I find it fascinating that I'm assuming these little dugouts have been created by the elephants. I'm really looking forward to watching how this landscape changes over the course of the season. Catherine, also the waterhole at Aldonio is very small, so it could be inconvenient for breeding herd to drink. They might go to a bigger water source. Yeah, there's lots of ideas and theories, and what I normally look at the background of of things and try and sort of make educated assumptions or semi-educated assumptions. These big groups. I'm assuming, Kay, you're talking about the elephant bulls at Tembe. 24 elephant bulls in one shot. I'm assuming you mean Tembe Elephant Park. That is very unusual. I've never seen 20. Oh no, actually, wait a minute. Maybe not 24, but I've seen a couple of big groups of males up at Pafuri. Well into high teens at least, I'm sure. It was at Pafuri somewhere up by Punta Maria in the northern Kruger, and I was shocked at how many males were hanging out together. It could be that maybe females with calves had gone to a different area, so the boys sort of grouped together more comfortably because there was no competition for females because there wasn't as many around. I don't know. Definitely looking forward to seeing these landscapes change though. And this is a really nice demonstration, these little, almost like these little craters here, of how natural pans form in nature. Humans do sometimes get involved in the addition of water resources in game reserves or natural areas, but in unmanaged, unrefined wildlife areas, natural pans form exactly like this. There will be a little puddle and something will come and scoop and dig and scrape, and then the next time it rains that puddle fills up more, and then something bigger comes and digs and scrapes, and ultimately it becomes a pan. Kay Russ, you watch them pull the pipes out of the water source and play with them a few times. The rascals. I can imagine that's probably not quite the word people that had to deal with the problem were using, but rascals indeed. And they will often, elephants are known for digging up water pipes. They do in dry riverbeds. They will dig down to water resources, and they can sense water. And yeah, them getting those tusks are a little way under the ground to dig up a nice fresh flowing water resource is child's play for them, really. So I'm sure the people trying to quell said elephant water pipe enthusiasm had a ripe old job of keeping it under control. I've woken up somewhere before and there's no power and no water, and apparently the elephants had dug up the water pipes and rhino had pushed over the power lines, because we are insignificant when it comes to the power of nature. Mindy.
We have just had our efforts paid off.
At Wild Earth, we believe every story has the power to create change. That's why we've launched the Wild Earth Impact Foundation, a non-profit dedicated to conservation and social impact. By showcasing conservation stories, we can change lives, protect nature, and empower communities. We have partnered with Empowers Africa to accept tax-deductible donations from US donors. Your donation will help fund critical programs that support our mission. Join us and be part of the change.
See, this is about 700 to 750 mils a season, which isn't, you know, it's not thousands, but it makes me wonder what if it's still green and the rainy seasons are the same. It makes me, my question would be what the bedrock in an area is, or what the substrate of an area is. Maybe there's more water retention there if it's able to stay green. It's very interesting because the base rock of an area will also determine the type of trees that grow there. There's so many variables, Sanjeev, but that's really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing and making that comparison. Kay Russ, when you first watched Tembe, there was only the one big pan, now many smaller ones that retain water longer than before. I'm assuming that they've been made by the elephants. I would love to hear if you have observed this behaviour over the years, and maybe that's why there's more water retained, is because there's more water available. Lady Macbeth, tropical, you're saying in the tropical rainbelt area, hence the greenery. I was just looking at the rainfall statistics, and I'm trying to compare it to other areas where other cameras are. But that would make complete sense if that's why it does stay greener than a lot of the other cameras. Thanks for helping me, guys. Lady Macbeth and Sanjeev, you're also saying it's got consistent rain. If it's got consistent rain, then that'll be why it's green. But I know it's in KZN. I was just checking the rainy seasons in those areas. I'm gonna do a bit more reading about that tropical rain belt around Tembe. I did not know that. I'm gonna have a look at the topography of that area that's specific to Tembe. Let me put that on my homework list. Tropical area. Huh. In that case, I wonder if that's also got something to do with slightly different male herd development dynamics. More food availability if it's greener. It means there's more food. If there's more food, it means it's able to support more animals, so that maybe the males are happier to form groups because there's enough food for everyone. I'm not sure. Everything is completely linked. And to be honest, most of those, Nikki, you'll see how this elephant is running around all over the place. He's definitely having a moment. Oh, look, he's upsetting everyone else now. What is he doing now? It looks quite breezy there. Wind can often have a interesting impact on animal behaviour. But it's almost like that big one went over to him and said, "Stop being so ridiculous." Riley, why are some elephants cheekier than others? Character and personality. But also it can be age. It can... social status of an animal can have an impact on their behaviour. Cheeky, could be running around being silly. That can also be related to food resources. It can be related to hormones. And animals do have different characters. Dino Wizard, you love elephants. Do they all have names? Not that I'm aware of. I know some people that do watch. Oh look, he's upsetting everyone now. Everyone's having a tumble around. I know some people that do watch the cameras very often. Dino Wizard do get very au fait with recognising lots of these individuals. Sometimes animals that are particularly recognisable will get names. But if all of these elephants do have names, then I certainly do not know them. Wildlife Lady, having a slight fallout over the best place to be. Yeah, there's definitely some interesting interactions going on here. But I can see it's quite breezy. And that can often put the wind up animals, for want of a better phrase. This almost looks like these two youngsters are having a tussle and the older ones are sort of supervising to make sure it doesn't get silly. Sanjeev Roy, there must be one big boy to discipline these unruly boys. It looks like you've got your answer. Or is he just getting involved? I think maybe this was just getting involved. But no, Sanjeev, you're actually often, you're right. That does often happen. There have been cases of reserves where they have, there's been young bulls or middle-aged bulls in a reserve that have been causing concerns for either other animals or for humans in the reserve, and even bigger boys have been released there, and the problem has eased somewhat. I watched once. It was in Madikwe, and look, he started throwing things around now as well. And there was a group of 3 elephants, all bulls, and there was 2 slightly smaller and 1 big old boy. And I was in a vehicle and I was watching. I sort of watched them for a little bit and make sure they were fine. And as I started to roll forward, one of these younger boys sort of turned his head around and shook his head at me. And this big old one, he slapped him with his trunk, like clearly. It was a clear. It was impossible to misunderstand. He literally went, "Don't do that." It was brilliant. That was definitely my interpretation of the situation. Anyway, I could be wrong, but that's very much what it looked like to me.
My name is Amy, and today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently.
South Africa's wild places are closer than you think because Federal Airlines brings them to you. From the calm of our Fed Air Lounge to the smooth boarding of our trusted fleet, we take care of the journey so you can enjoy the adventure. Our flights go beyond the ordinary, connecting you to South Africa's most remote and extraordinary locations. Federal Airlines, your gateway to the South African wild.
My full name is Emojis. Best part of my job is coming to see nature. Worst part of my job is logging. That's the worst thing ever, because you have to log amount of footage. You sit in front of that computer and yeah, you think of deleting the footage, but no, they need the footage. If I want a camel, probably a soccer player. I know some people don't believe me, but I'm very good, I'm very fast.
This is what they call a shambe, a family, a whole herd of elephants.
But nature is beyond amazing. Nature is just everything.
We'd love to hear from you. Questions, comments about biology, Africa, safari. She's using her tail like a monkey.
Suggest elephants have their own names for each other too. Right, that's on the homework list. I'm all for a very recent study. I'm all for a very recent study. That is going on my homework list. What can I call that? Oh, look at them running around. I've put elephants naming each other. I'm not sure if I'm going to remember what that means. David, if you could share any links to anything with us on that, that would be brilliant. I know through experience that sometimes it can be difficult to find. It can sometimes be difficult to find. I never know what to trust when I'm doing research anymore. I tend to try and check more scientific papers and backgrounds and studies and stuff, because I never know what to trust online these days. So if you could send a link through to that, I would be absolutely fascinated. I'm sure FC will share it with me. I would love to read that elephants have names for each other though. It's so nice even seeing these big elephants. They've been rolling around and playing and chasing today. And these are not little elephants. Yeah, I think maybe the wind set them off. I've always found that rain can be tricky, but not too bad. Heavy driving rain, it can be quite difficult and uncomfortable to conduct a game drive in, but windy rain, yeah, it's very, very difficult to look, the elephant's upsetting the impala as well now. Let's see if those two impala are going to be followed by two great big elephants behind them. It makes animals, I think it can make a lot of animals twitchy and edgy. They can't work out where sounds like, oh, look at them going in those bushes there. Oh yeah, I'm sure those impalas came shooting out of that greenery at the back there that's full of elephant at the moment. No, I can have another sit down. The wind can make smells swirl around, so no one can work out where smells are coming from. No one can work out where sound is coming from. Check this, look, this big guy is having a roll in there. Huh. I say full of the joys of spring, but it's certainly not spring. Oh, you're going to get in trouble. I'm still trying to look at rainfall for Tenby. See, there's lots of interactions here that end up with 3 or 4 of them getting involved, I've noticed. Lucy Cuddy, how can one tell the age of an elephant? I find it quite difficult to age adult animals. We roughly know how big animals are if they get to 6 months of age, or I'll sometimes work on how well they use their bodies. If you need to age something from maybe 4 weeks to 3 months, their cognitive abilities work better, their mobility works better. That's some way to age it. We roughly know how big animals are in compared to their parents at certain times of age, but some animals grow slower, some grow faster. And adult animals, elephants, I tend to identify old elephants by looking at the width across their trunk, especially the males, and whether or not their faces look sunken or their bodies look sunken. That to me would be an indication of an old elephant. Tusk development is another way that we can sometimes determine how old an elephant is. And behaviours. I often go by behaviours as well, Lucy. Wildlife Lady, you've loved today's show live at the Waterhole. Thank you so much for joining us, Wildlife Lady. Elephants everywhere. Thank you, Kelly. FC and Zoomies, thank you indeed, FC and Zoomies. Excellent work as always. Dawn Gresham, some crocodiles can change their skin colour rapidly in response to environmental conditions, while others do not. Wow, that's going on my homework list. I've never heard that before in my life. That's going on my homework list. But that is almost all we've got time for this afternoon. I've got some serious crocodile research to do before tomorrow. Crocodile colour change. I've never heard that before. Also got the ability to change colour, can be related to habitat and watercolours. I've never heard that before. I am definitely going to go and investigate that further. I've always thought it would be genetics, but we find things out all the time. New and diverse information coming to fruition on a weekly basis. And I'm also going to go away and find out if elephants do indeed have names for each other. Interesting stuff. These elephants must know we're going now. It looks like everyone's calming down a little bit. A nice run around over lunchtime. No, we're still going at the back there. I really appreciate everyone joining us this afternoon. I thank you for your participation with your thoughts and your comments and your questions that you've sent through. My favourite part of the show is hearing from everyone out there and coming up with great thought processes as to what's going on, where, when, why and how. But I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day or afternoon or wherever you may be, whatever time of day it is there. Have fun doing whatever it is you're doing. I'm glad my internet remained participatory today, and I'm hoping to be joining you again tomorrow. So please join us tomorrow. We'll be back at the same time, the same place, and I'm very much looking forward to it. All the best.